Chapter Hub Dues webinar. It's 1 o'clock, so we're 1:01, so we're going to get started. My name is Nancy Friedel, and I'm the Director of Technology, and as such, I'm Chairman of the National Technology Committee. And with me is Carol Warman, who heads up the Chapter Hub portion of the National Technology Committee. She or I have spoken with many of you or emailed with many of you, and we really want to thank you for taking on the position of Chapter Hub Administrator. I know it can be frustrating at times. Hopefully this session will make it a little easier. Before we start, I wanted to just go over a little of the features of the GoToWebinar. You have a control panel that gives you the ability to ask questions, and if you click on the Attendees tab, you can see that everyone is muted. But if during the presentation you have a question, if you look at, you would raise your hand, which is the fifth column in. It has a microphone. That is where I would unmute you, and then we don't need to worry about the others, but the one that is a hand is where you would raise your hand if you have a question. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there, up in the right-hand corner of that control panel, next to the X is an icon that has arrows in the corners. If you click that, it will minimize the control panel so it isn't taking up room on your screen. So as I mentioned, Carol will be doing most of the presentation, and for those of you who are newer to Chapter Hub, Assistance League migrated to the Salesforce platform in October of 2015. And at that time, we started bringing all the data over from Raiser's Edge and doing a lot of cleanup. And in spring of last year, 2016, we instituted the dues processing portion of Chapter Hub. And hopefully with some of the things you'll see today, it will be a little easier to do the task of entering your dues for this fiscal year. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Carol and let her start with the presentation. Carol?
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get to dues processing, I'm going to try to cover a few other basic features in Chapter Hub. Hopefully this will help clarify any misconceptions that are out there. We've received questions, many times it's the same question, over and over from different chapters. So we know that there's a challenge out there in doing some tasks, and I'm going to try to do that first before we get to dues. So without further ado, I will take away the welcome screen, and we're going to log into Chapter Hub. I happen to have a shortcut on my desktop to Chapter Hub. Some of you may do that as well. You may have it bookmarked. However you get to it, I'm going to double click. The link is on top here, as you can see, assistanceleague.force.com. That is the link that you need to, the URL, the web page that you need to get to. Once you're on that page, you can see that there are 3 chapters that I have logged in with here, but for purposes of this webinar, I'm going to be using the test chapter. So these are all fictitious people, no real names here. So I'm going to click on AL test chapter at assistanceleague.org. Now that is what's called the username. It looks like an email address, but it's really not an email address. It's no one's email address. So I'm going to click on that, and then I have the password already in here because I accessed this website so many times. So otherwise, if I didn't have it in, I would type it in. And then I'm going to click Login. And here we are at the home page of Chapter Hub. Actually, as Nancy mentioned, Salesforce is the overarching platform. That is really the big software platform that we migrated to last year. Chapter Hub is the name that they gave the part of Salesforce that is for the chapters. So anyway, here we are at the home page. And the first thing that I would like to do, and you'll see the reason for that in a minute, is to add a new member, a new fourth quarter member. And we are in the fourth quarter, March, April, May, fourth quarter of the fiscal year. So to do that, I'm going to click on Individuals, and I'm going to click on New, and leave this drop down as Member. Record type of new record is Member. Leave it as Member. Click Continue, and I'm calling this new member Nancy New Member. Now at this point, you could, if you had Nancy's phone number, home phone, mobile phone, email address, mailing address, and so forth, you could enter that at this point. Nancy is fictitious, but I will add an email address just to show you how that's done. Nancy New at gmail.com. And really, the only required field in Chapter Hub / Salesforce, required fields are noted with a red vertical bar to the left of the box. So the only really required field for a new member is the last name. So I've got this information in for Nancy New Member. I'm going to click Save.
Carol,
Yes.
you might want to mention, though, that if they don't put an email address in, they will not be able to access the
Right.
website.
In order to access the website, you need the email address, as Nancy said. Okay, so now we've got the first part of Nancy New Member's record in here. We have to make her a fourth quarter member. And to do that, we have to create what's called a membership affiliation record. How do we do that? Hover the mouse over Organization Affiliations and click on New Organization Affiliation. Record type of new record, leave that as membership. Click Continue. Now, Nancy, new member, is going to be primary. Her primary chapter will be test chapter. So the first thing we do is check that box, primary. And we've had questions from some of you out there where that primary box, the problem being that that primary box was not checked. Now over here, let me go down. The role, this is an optional field, and we want you to enter voting or non-voting. So let's say she's a voting member. And when we click on the type drop-down, we have several choices: full member, lifetime member, assist teen, or staff. She is a full member. Her first membership date is, let's say, today, March 22nd. Her last chapter dues paid date is today. And let's say she only paid $10 for the rest of 2016-17. Now the organization field is a bit tricky. What we need to put in here is her chapter. There are two ways of doing that. My preference is to click on the magnifying glass and in the search box put in part of the name of the chapter, test, and click go. And a list of entities with the word test will come up. What we want is Assistance League of Test Chapter. We want the chapter type and the record type to be AL chapter. So this is the record we want. And when I clicked that, it filled in Assistance League of Test Chapter in that box. Now the other way of doing it, I'm going to erase that. The other way of doing it is just to start typing in test. And it shows my recent items. Do not pick the parent. Okay, what we want is Assistance League of Test Chapter. So you can fill that field in either way. Again, if you have any questions, Nancy has explained how to raise your hand, and we will see if we can answer your question. Her chapter dues paid through date. Now, this is the date through which she paid dues to the chapter, and it's only through 5/31/2017. So now this is the membership affiliation record. It's a fourth quarter, and you'll see how that plays into this in a little while. I'm going to click Save. Now, if I hover over organization affiliations, again, this is the record we just created. Start date 3/22, end date 5/31. You'll notice that she's active, even though the chapter hasn't paid national dues for her. And the reason is because this is the fourth quarter. And fourth quarter members, there is no dues owed to national by the chapter for fourth quarter members. So we've got Nancy, new member, in there now. And another thing I wanted to show you, again, this has been an issue that has come up several times, is this field here, organization household name. I'm going to click on that. This field is automatically created by the system when you create a new member, a new individual record. And you can see how it's formatted. Last name with a space, left parenthesis, first name, right parentheses, household. That is the format for the household name, and that should not be changed. We have had a few chapters who have attempted to change it, and you've got an error message. I'm going to show you in a minute what error message you would get. The best advice I can give you is just don't try to edit it. There's no reason for you to change that name. But here's what happens if you do. Edit. And I'm going to type in, let's say I didn't know what I just said, and I say, oh, I think I need to put my chapter name in there. My chapter name. And I click Save. And voila, this is the error message. Chapter Hub admins are not allowed to change organization/household name. In other words, please leave it as it is. The system creates it that way, forms it that way for a reason. Just please leave it alone. We had issues over the last week or so where people have tried to change it. And anyway, if you try to change it, you should get that error message. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to examine the various roster reports. How do we see who is in this test chapter?
Carol?
Yes.
Carol, you might want to show them on that record you just created that it made their primary affiliation up in the header record equal to their chapter.
Here, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so by making test chapter the affiliate on the membership affiliation record, by checking that box, it made the primary affiliation on the individual record be Assistance League of Test Chapter. Okay? So now we're going to see, by the way, if you look up here, you can see that's how I'm logged in. Assistance League of Test Chapter, AL of Test Chapter. How do I get to the various roster reports? How do I see who the members are in Test Chapter? So what we need to do is click on Organizations Households. And there are several ways of doing this. One way would be to put in the search box, Test Chapter, and it will come up with Assistance League of Test Chapter. And this is the page, this is the home page of the chapter. The other way of doing it, I'll show you the other way, is where it says View My Chapter Organizations. Just simply click Go, and you should see your chapter name right here. Click on that, and again we get to the same page. There are two ways of getting to this page. Now, how do we see who the affiliated contacts are to this chapter? One way, there are a lot of ways actually to do that. One way is to hover the mouse over affiliated contacts where it says 5+. Click on that, and it says go to list 12. And here are the 12 members, including the new one we just put in, Nancy, new member. And here are the other 11 I had put in previously. And we can see the type they are, whether they're a cysteine, a lifetime member, full member, and their status. Now, any of these columns can be used to sort the list. For example, I can click type, and it's sorted that column in descending order. I can click status, and here it is in ascending order, and here it is in descending order. Now you can see I've got some people in here, and this is for purposes of the webinar. Again, they're all fictitious. Rhonda resigned, Linda lapsed, Irene inactive, and then we have Nancy new member down here, and then the rest who have, kind of normal sounding names. So we saw that was one way of seeing who all the members are. There are other ways as well. We have various roster reports. So you can go back to the chapter page, and here in this area we have various roster reports, and they're filtered to show different types of members. For example, if I look at chapter members all time, I'm going to see 12 records, and these are the 12 people who are affiliated with that chapter. If I look at lapsed members, for example, I'm going to just see one, Linda lapsed. If I look at the chapter members resigned, I'm going to see just one member, Rhonda resigned. And inactive, we see one member, Irene inactive. So now that's one way that you can, or actually a number of ways, that you can see information on your chapter and the roster. We also have this compact roster, which I wasn't really planning on going into, but we've got this is only for active members. This only shows the 9 active members, including, by the way, the one active is cysteine. So, okay. Now, actually, we're finally up to dues processing, which was how we build this webinar. So let's get started on dues processing. How do we get there? We go back to the chapter page, the way I showed you, 2 different ways you can get to that page, and click on Update Pay Dues. And you see a screen that looks like this. The members who appear on this page are active and lapsed only, and members who are primary to the chapter. So Linda lapsed is on the list because she's lapsed. This is sorted by member type. So the full members come first. This is a little convoluted. The full members come first. The lifetime members, the lifetime members are grandfathered by National. They do not, the chapter does not owe National any dues for these lifetime members, and the assistants. So again, the only members who show here are active, lapsed, and those who for whom primary is checked. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of the 12. Who's missing? Rhonda resigned and Irene inactive. So what we're going to do, we are pretending that Irene inactive decided to rejoin. The last time she paid her dues was, I don't know, 2015 or something like that. So she's decided she wants to come back. So we have to show you how to do that. And by the way, there have been some questions from the chapters on this very subject. So what I want to do now is find Irene's record. Here it is. Now, we hover over organization affiliations, click on it, and we see one organization affiliation, and her end date was 5/31/15. So she hasn't paid dues to the chapter since then, so her status is inactive. What we do in a situation like this, and the same for resigned members also. This one didn't resign, but we have another one, Rhonda resigned, for whom we would do the same thing. We click New Organization Affiliation. We're going to create a second organization affiliation. Membership type, primary, she's voting. She's going to be a full member. And her first membership date was, let's say, March 1st. And her last chapter dues paid date was March 1st. And she paid, let's say, $10 to the chapter through the end of the year. Again, we have to fill in the organization here. Now again, even though the names are similar, this is not the organization household. This is the organization. So we have to either type in a few letters of the chapter, test, and pick Assistance League of Test Chapter, or, my favorite, use the magnifying glass, type in test up here, click go, and pick Assistance League of Test Chapter, or your chapter, from this list. And the chapter dues paid through for Irene is 5/31/2017. So again, we're creating a second organization affiliation record, leaving the first one intact, which is good for historical purposes. Creating this second one, she's a full member. First membership date 3/1, last chapter dues paid date 3/1, she paid $10. Chapter dues paid through 5/31/17, and we filled in the organization name, which is Assistance League of Test Chapter. Save. Okay. Now, if I hover the mouse over organization affiliations and click, you now see primary has been switched to the affiliation record I just created, the one with start date 3/1/17, end date 5/31/17, and she is active because no dues are due to national because it's fourth quarter. Okay, now let's go back to the chapter page, organizations, households, my chapter organizations, go, click on your chapter name, and now we go back into update pay dues, and here is Irene. Because we created that second affiliation record, we can now pay dues to national for her. So now we should have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The only one missing from this list is Rhonda resigned, and we would handle her basically the same way we handled Irene inactive. So,
Carol,
yes.
I have a question from Sally Nichols. She wants to know what is inactive versus lapsed.
Okay, lapsed members are members who have paid their chapter dues within the last year, and inactive members have not paid within the last year. They've paid more than a year ago. Is that correct?
That is, and there's one thing that is different this year from last year. Last year, the system would allow you to pay dues for someone who was lapsed more than a year, and what the system did was advance them 1 year. So if their end date was 2015, it would pay them through 2016. In order for that not to happen, unless it was that you really were trying to catch up for dues that were not paid during those intervening years, we changed the code of the program so that it would not let you pay if someone was lapsed more than a year. they don't show up.
Okay.
That's why we did it, because there were quite a few people that way that we ended up having to go in and manually change, because you thought you were paying for the current year and you were in reality paying for a prior year.
Well, we think we've straightened that out now, so.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good question. Thank you, Sally. Now we've got these people, and let's say that 3 of them, and I'm going to pick 3, have paid their chapter dues through 5/31/2018. So I'm going to pick one full member, this one, Joan. I'm going to pick one assistine, Alexa, and I'm going to pick one lifetime member, and that would be lifetime. Oh, Holly Andrews, sorry. So we've got 3 members. Joan is a full-time member, Holly is a lifetime member, and Alexa is an assistine. And they have paid their dues. They're very prompt, and they have paid their dues to the chapter through 5/31/18. Now, you could go through and individually change this one, each line to say 5/31/18. But the consultant who developed this dues software, at our request, put in a nice feature. The nice feature is that you can put a date in here, for example, 5/31/2018, and it will, by having checked these 3 members, if I click this, which I'm going to do in a minute, apply header values to selected. This is the header value, 5/31/18, and the selected members are these 3, Joan, Holly, and Alexa. Apply header values to selected. Okay, now, Joan has changed to 18, Holly has changed to 18, and Alexa has changed to 18. And now, we're ready to go to the next screen. But first, before we do that, always remember to save, especially, this is a very short list, but you might have a list of a couple hundred people. And by the way, if you have a long list like that, these header boxes come in very handy, what I just did. Typing it in here, checking off, and you can actually select all by checking this box, which I'm not going to do, but if you wanted to put 5/31/18 in all of them, you could check that box and they'd all be checked. So anyway, I only wanted to change those 3. And now I'm going to save. And we get a message, success updated. Wonderful. And now we are going to continue to national dues. And these 3, here are the 3 that I changed to 5/31/18, shows right here, chapter dues paid through 5/31/18. Joan is a full member, so the chapter pays national $40 for Joan. Alexa is an assistine, and the chapter pays national $10 for Alexa. Holly is a lifetime member. She's grandfathered, and the chapter pays national nothing. 0. So that's worth noting. And now what we're going to do, now you have the option on this screen, this is called the Pay National Dues screen. You have the option to check which ones you want to pay national for whom you want to pay them. You can check them individually, or you can use this box here, which serves as what we call a toggle, meaning click it once, they get unchecked, click it again, they get checked. Or if you, for some reason, if you didn't want to pay for one of them, you could do them individually. Or let's say you could uncheck that one.
Carol, I have another question.
Yes.
Terry Sean. She asks, why are there dues to pay if this is the 4th quarter? She realized the answer, so never mind. It is for 2018. Yes, that is correct.
2017-18, the new year. Right, exactly. Correct. So now we've gone through the chapter dues screen. We're up to this, pay national dues. We've decided we want to pay for these three, and now I check them all off. Click continue. And it's going to create an order. Order number 1126 with a bunch of leading zeros. So this order is in the system now. And if you scroll down to dues payment, you can see the members who are associated with that order, Joan, Holly, and Alexa. You can print this page by clicking on Custom Links, Print Export. It gives you opens another window, printable view, and the report is exported to Excel. So I'm going to open it. Here's the printable view in Excel with the three members and the amounts and a total. And you can print this as you would print any other Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so now, we've got this order all set up. And there's another segment of this webinar. After we're finished with this, Nancy's going to talk a little bit about order processing. But in the meanwhile, let's get this order paid for. We do that by clicking on Payment Console. And this pop-up window comes up. Okay, now, there are some fields to be filled in here, and we're going to go through each one of them. First name is AL. Last name is the chapter name, test chapter, address line, anywhere, and we have to pick a state. Let's pick California, zip code 90123, the United States, email, AL. This is obviously all fictitious. AL test chapter at gmail.com. The charge amount is $50. We went through the computation of that. And now comes the bank information. The routing number, the account name, and the bank name and account type. Routing number, very, very important. Routing numbers are exactly 9 digits. No more, no less. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, exactly 9. And the account number could vary by bank. The account number could be, for example, fictitious, account name, whatever it says on the statement, on the bank statement. Assistance League of Test Chapter, bank name, Wells Fargo, and then whether it's a checking or a savings account. Let's go over these fields again because they're very important. First name, AL, last name, test chapter, or whatever your chapter name is. Address.
Could we back up? Don't put your name, since when I have to go in and look at all these process that comes through, if you put your name, then I have to go from the prompt payment processor's application back to Salesforce, look up your name, see what chapter you're in to know where this came from. The other thing I would mention is that you don't really need to put address, city, state, or zip country if you don't want to. We're not using them and we don't retain them. And the email you put if you want a confirmation back that the order was processed.
Okay, so I'm going to click charge. Now this is fictitious information, so Nancy will have to go through the payment portal and delete
Before
it.
you click charge, I just want to mention
Yeah.
that we strongly recommend that you have a voided check from your treasurer where she or he circles the routing number and says that that's the routing number, and circles the account and make sure that when she circles it, it doesn't include the check number, because sometimes when you look at a check, it looks like it's the account number, but the last 3 or 4 digits are actually the check number.
Right.
And keep this, because when something is rejected because of a routing number, there's no charge. But if you have a bad account number, national organization gets charged every time a check is returned. So if you would have that available, and this is the most important part of this whole thing, is making sure you have the right numbers there. 9 digits, no less, no more, for the routing number and the account number. And we purposely don't retain this information for security reasons. We don't want to have any of your bank information on record. The payment processor captures it with masked out numbers, so we can see portions of it, but we never see the entire routing number nor the entire accounting number. So I'm sorry, Carol, go ahead.
That's okay. That's all right. No, those were all important points, very important points. Okay, so now I'm going to click charge. Thank you for your payment. Thank you for using ChargeIt. And I think that this is a good segue into Nancy's section on order processing.
Right, it just occurred to me though we're not going to see any rejected or returned because test chapter didn't have any rejected or returned, but I can talk through it. Basically what happens as soon as you click submit and it gives you that message that it is processed, it will show under AL orders. If you click on the AL orders, Carol, and let's just go through, click on the drop down for the view.
Yeah.
There are orders that are awaiting payment. Those are ones that you either are checking with your treasurer to know whether to pay them, or you may have created one order and then decided you needed to pay for more people and created a new order. You have to contact us to tell us to get rid of orders that you don't intend to pay because they were in error. At the end of 2 months, we purge any that have been sitting around for that long. There are also the complete orders. All orders will show any order you've ever put through, and rejected and returned will show if an order has been rejected or returned. So if you submit an order and it rejects, then we manually go in and mark this order as rejected. It technically unpays for the people, so if they were active, once you hit submit, they now will be inactive if it's past, if this payment, if they were inactive or lapsed before you made the payment, they would go back to what they were. You will get an email probably from me or from Chapter Hub, or in the future it might be from the office, asking you to resubmit the order. And to resubmit the order, you would just bring up the one order you have there. You would just open the order and you would edit it. I'm sorry, you don't need to edit it. You would just it would now show a status of either rejected or returned. You would come down to the payment console and go through the process again, hopefully with the right routing number and account number. And things have gotten a lot better. I have a lot less work to do here, but in the beginning we had some orders that were resubmitted 5 times. So, and I see there are some questions which I'll get to in a minute. So that's what you would do. You'll get the email. The other thing that will be happening is that every month a report will be generated, and it'll give a month's leeway. If you have people whose chapter dues paid through date, meaning they paid the dues to the chapter, is greater than the national dues paid through date, meaning you received the dues but you haven't paid national yet. We give a month leeway, but that comes under the term they used to use called supplemental dues. You don't have to pay dues for the next fiscal year till the end of May. But once the year starts, June 1st, at the end of any month in which you have had new members or have had members rejoin, you should be paying dues for those members at that time. And there's a couple things I want to say about that, but let me look at the questions for a second. So the question is, just to confirm, if we are in the fourth quarter, chapters complete the full registration but do not execute the last step, pay national. Yes, there's no, you had to do that last year. That's been changed. They're automatically made active if they're new in the fourth quarter.
If the dues are being paid through 17, through 5/17.
Correct. And Carol, I'm going to find you and unmute you, and I think we're going to have enough time that we can actually unmute people and let them ask their questions.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just have to find you.
Attendees, who are we looking for?
I am looking for Carol Kovac. There she is.
Yeah.
So you called in, so that makes it a little tougher. I sent you a PIN. I can't unmute you until you enter that PIN. While we're doing that, yes, Carol's other question was to add that we don't collect dues for the last 3 months of the year. You don't pay dues to national. Some chapters do collect dues to cover a portion, like a name tag or something like that, but you do not have to pay dues to national for anybody joining in the fourth quarter. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and it depends on your chapter. Let's say you're a chapter that has 500 members and you have an additional membership database in addition to using Chapter Hub. It's up to you whether you go in as dues are paid to your chapter and update Chapter Hub, or if you wait till May or the end of May and then go in and then you globally update all the ones who have paid dues when you're ready to pay national dues. The advantage of that is that you will only be going in one time. The disadvantage is the reports may not show that these people have paid dues. Well, I guess they actually should, because they should be active, because if they join in the fourth quarter, they're active, or if they've paid dues. So that's one way. The other is if you want to use Chapter Hub to track the people who have paid their dues to the chapter, then you would go into Chapter Hub and update their chapter dues paid through date as they pay.
So it's really up to the chapter.
Correct.
How they want to handle it.
And I do have another question here. So Carol, you just key in #95 on your phone and it should allow you to be unmuted. Okay, Carol, are you there?
I am. Sorry
Okay.
about that. I did. I finally got through. Thank you. You did answer my question. So I was just trying to reconfirm, though, because the Chapter Hub transacts the registration as if there's funds received, right? And up to a certain point where it says dues paid, and so we still put in during the fourth quarter as if there was monies received, which there really wasn't. You put 0 to the end of our fiscal year, which is May 31st.
Correct.
And then at that
pay
point, we do not transact any further to national.
for that year, correct.
Correct. Okay, thank you. That's what I needed to know.
And I have a question from Colleen, and I'm going to unmute you. Colleen, are you there? Colleen, I think you may have to unmute yourself, but the little microphone button.
I can unmute her. Okay, there.
No, I did unmute her.
Okay. Colleen?
We can't hear you, Colleen. If you want to type in a question, we can respond to it that way. Are there any other questions before we?
I think, didn't we want to also discuss who gets what messages? Chapter Hub at assistanceleague.org and technology at assistanceleague.org.
Yes, but a couple more questions came in.
Oh, okay.
Sally is asking, at what length of time and who designates a member status of lapsed or inactive? It's automatic. If the end date is past, they're lapsed. If they have been lapsed more than 1 year, it automatically becomes inactive. So let me see.
So in my example, I had Linda lapsed, whose dues were paid within the last year, and Irene inactive, whose dues hadn't been paid for 2 years.
But nobody updates that. It just is. It's all calculated.
Yeah, it's automatic.
Does that answer it, Carol? Or it was Sally? Huh?
Sally?
Yeah.
You there?
And Annette says, is this also described in a written procedure? Do you want to talk about the documentation, Carol?
Yeah, we've had some questions on the documentation. If I go to Chatter, the Chatter tab here, I posted something a few days ago. There was some old documentation that was erroneously left in here, and people were using it as if it was new documentation, and it wasn't. So there's a document that I uploaded here a few days ago, and it tells you, let me make this a little bigger, that the latest documentation can be found in the National Website Resource Library. And it gives you steps to go that you would go through to get to that documentation. It's on the technology page. I'm not going to do it now, but this would be the link. You would go to the national website. If you log in first, I'm told that it'll take you right to that page. If you're not logged in, you have to navigate to the page as described here. So anyway, once you get to the page, here are the files. Chapter Hub Quick Reference, Chapter Hub User Guide Board Committee. We did not go into Board Committee at all because we didn't have time to do that today. But we may schedule another webinar in the future that will discuss Board Committee. Dues processing, we've been through that. Individuals, how to add a new individual, organizations, and year-end procedures. This is all in the assistanceleague.org resource library.
Okay, we have a few more questions, Carol.
Okay.
How do you change the Chapter Hub administrator when there is a new person handling the role?
The best way would be to write to us, and actually over the last few days we've gotten a few of those emails where the role has changed from one person to another.
Actually, that's the only way. Right?
That is the only way, right. You really can't do it yourself. Yeah, we have some steps we go through, and we'll take care of it. Just write to chapterhub@assistanceleague.org. I monitor that email account. Nancy gets it too, I think. And one or the other of us will take care of it.
Okay, and Kay, you had a question on when is a user blocked. Do you mean from accessing the national website? You're unmuted, Kay. You can talk.
Oh, okay. Well, do they go into a lapse mode before? I mean,
if their dues, their national dues paid through date has lapsed, meaning today's date is greater than that, they go into a lapse mode. After 45 days, they're dropped from the website.
okay.
When you pay dues for them, within an hour, they get activated again.
Okay. All right.
And Betty has a question.
Yeah, I see that. I have the questions here. I have a question regarding an inactive member. She rejoined after about 3 or 4 years. I entered her simply as a new member. Does this cause a problem? Kind of. Why don't you write to us, Betty, chapterhub@assistanceleague.org, and give us the relevant information, and we will take care of merging. What the process that should have been followed was the one that I actually did, which was creating a new membership affiliation for that member. But don't worry, we'll take care of it.
Yes, that brings up the point that before you add a member, you should always search to see if they exist.
Right.
Because we have numerous instances where a member currently belongs to more than one chapter or has moved and joined another chapter, and we only want one individual record for that person. And one of the reasons for that is, even though it isn't visible here, any donations made to the national organization are attached to that record. If you create a new record, it's as if they never existed.
Right.
So in those instances, we merge the records, and then you have the history that you can see that this person was a member of this chapter from this year to this year, and then a member of your chapter. And when a person moves from one chapter to another, and you are now the primary chapter, you need to let us know that so that we can have you be the owner of that record, because only the owner of the record can update their demographic information. You can add their affiliation even if you don't own the record, if you're not primary, but you won't be able to update their information.
Okay.
And there's a question, will this webinar be made available in the resource library for watching again?
We are recording this as we speak. It's been recorded right from the beginning. The plan is to post it on YouTube, and we will send out a link to that video to all the Chapter Hub admins. It'll either be done later today or more likely tomorrow.
And there will be something on the website where you can click to get to it. And somebody, Vanessa asked that she has a 2016 version of the instructions. Is this the most current? The answer is no.
No. The answer is if you follow the steps outlined in this document and you go to the resource library, you should get the latest documentation there. I believe the latest one is November. So if you have May, it's undoubtedly not the most recent.
Okay, I just need to go through these questions. Annette, did we answer your question? Okay. I think we've answered all of these. Since they were questions, and if I don't type in a response, it still shows as a question. That's why I'm not sure.
Well, anybody raise your hand if you
yeah,
have a question.
Do the hand raise instead of the question so that I can see. And I still show Colleen, but she wasn't able
She has her
to
hand
talk.
raised. Well, wait, if we
Right.
unmute her. Let's see.
I tried to unmute her.
Oh, wait, now she's unmuted again.
So Colleen,
Are
can you hear us? We can't hear you. All right. Anybody else? Kay, we got yours. Sally and Shelley, I think we got yours. Terry. Vanessa, did we answer yours? That was the version.
Yes.
Okay. I think we answered all the questions. Is there anything else you wanted to cover today, or if somebody has something they want to discuss, since we have a little bit of time,
Raise your hand.
raise your hand. So Vanessa, your hand is shown as being raised. Do you still have a question or no? How do you resign a member?
Okay, that's a good question. I will pull up Rhonda resigned and show you how she was made into a resigned member. Go to individuals, actually use the search box. Use the search box, it's your best friend. And there is Rhonda resigned. Oh, she's also a member of my chapter. Hello. Okay, anyway, this is the Rhonda resigned that we want. She's a member, primary to the test chapter. Hover the mouse, I'll do that again, I'm going too fast. Hover the mouse over organization affiliations. It will take you here and edit. You don't really have to edit. All you have to do is look. This box here on the membership affiliation record is checked. Once you check that and you save it, she will be resigned. Does that answer the question? Can we have chapter admins? Can we have 2 chapter admins?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
Technically, the answer is yes, but there are procedures that need to be done to know how we would set them up. One of the things that we are going to be looking at in the next couple of months is into the possibility of having chapters be able to use Chapter Hub as their donor management and event management software, in which case they probably would want another license that has a little more privileges than the chapter admin license. In the interim, you can have more than one person use the user ID and password, and they can actually both be logged in at the same time. So that should help. One of the things that I should put up a poll. I am curious as to how many chapters would be interested in using Chapter Hub for event processing and donor management. And maybe for the next webinar, I'll ask that question with where you can say no because I already have the donor management system that I'm using, or yes. So actually, if you would just type into the question box yes or no because I already have one, or just no because I'm not interested. I'm just curious how much interest there is out there in having being able to use Chapter Hub as your membership management, donor management, and event management tool.
But to answer the question, the question Carol Kovac asked is, right now they would have to, there's only one license per chapter, and so they would have to share the login information. I think you can have up to 5 people logged in at one time with that login, so I don't think it should be a problem.
Okay, so I'm getting a lot of answers to the question, which I'll definitely review.
Okay.
But I wanted to see that there are misspelled last names and members who have remarried and have changed last names. Do I call National to make corrections? If you own the record, you can change the name. There was a short period where you weren't able to, but that has been fixed. One thing I would suggest, Carol, if you could bring up one of the members, I'd like to just look at the first name, last name, formal greeting and informal greeting. And edit the record so that it... So one of the things that I wanted to mention with names is that your name as it is listed here is what is used if you make a donation to the national organization, if you register for a conference, leadership, or the national conference, or if you're on the leadership team and you register for a meeting. So what we recommend the first name and last name be, that they be the names that are on the credit card you're using.
Mhm.
If you want to, let's say your name is Elizabeth Smith, but you go by Beth. In the informal greeting, you could put Beth, and the formal greeting could either be Elizabeth Smith or Beth Smith. If you only enter a first and last name, it defaults to the first name as the informal greeting and the formal greeting being the first and last name. But it really makes it much easier when matching when you do make those payments, and it's also helpful if the email you use when you register for something is the same email you have associated in Chapter Hub. Because when you do that, it tries to find a match. It tries to say, is this person already a member? And if it is, then it matches it and everything gets associated properly with your record. If it's in doubt, then we have to go in through a process of looking at it and trying to determine who it is. But those things just make it a little easier. So are there any other questions, Carol, that you see that are?
Colleen still has her hand raised. Anne Niche, you have your hand raised. Shelley.
Anne, do you have a question?
I do have a question. I just want to make sure, if we go in now and start inputting dues for next year, it's not going to throw us into the fourth quarter, is it?
If it looks at the first membership date. And if you bring up that organization affiliation record.
Well, I was going to bring up one of the ones I changed. That would be, well, Nancy, new member, has dues, but only for this year.
So if you look at her affiliation record, you see the field called first membership date. If that first membership date is in the fourth quarter, then it automatically pays dues for them. If it's somebody who was lapsed and was a member last year and are just late in paying their dues, they will still owe the dues for this year. It's only new members that are given that grace period. Does that answer your question?
You might have a situation, excuse me, you might have a situation where you have someone, and we had that in my chapter, Las Vegas, by the way, where we had new members join in March and pay dues for 2017-18.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, let's look at, which one did I? Alexa, she's an assistine, but you can see it. Chapter dues paid through 5/31/18. So if you put chapter dues paid through 5/31/18, they'll come up in the screen of members for whom you can pay national dues.
I see. Okay. Because I have a whole slew of people who've already paid dues for my chapter now for, the new fiscal year.
You can start
and
entering.
you can enter them. It's up to you. You can either wait or you can enter them as they come in, and that way you can generate a report that will tell you all the ones that have paid dues to the chapter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Carla Smith, I've unmuted you. Carla Smith.
We can hear you.
The question's already been answered. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any more hands?
I don't see any more hands.
No, hands is still raised, but we just spoke to her, so.
I just took it off, I think. Oh, there, I'll take it off.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's all, we're going to stop recording this, and we thank you all very much for taking an hour plus out of your day and spending time attending this webinar. If you have any questions,
And thank you again for being your Chapter Hub administrator.
right? Any questions, you can write to Nancy at technology@assistanceleague.org or me at chapterhub@assistanceleague.org. And with that, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we're going to conclude this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.